Quasi here, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you what I believe to be Neville Goddard's truest secret. And throughout this video, what I'm going to do is share with you the 3 biggest principles that Neville Goddard shares that'll help you understand this secret so that you can begin to create the reality that you want in the way that you would want to experience it. Okay, so I want you to pay very, very close attention to this video because not only am I going to share these principles, but I'm going to share with you how you can synthesize it to make sense for yourself and how you can actually begin to apply it with actionable strategy in your own life. Guys, I'm super excited to share this video with you, so let's go right ahead and get started. So today's video is about Neville Goddard's secret, and I know this sounds super clickbaity, but I truly believe I've come across what this secret is. And you'll know that this is a secret because it's always on the surface, okay? Secrets are always on the surface. It's right under your nose, but you just can't see it because the mind is always looking for complex solutions to simple problems, okay? So I want to share with you a little bit about my experience with Neville Goddard. Initially, when I came across Neville's teachings, this was back like 3 years ago, I couldn't comprehend it. Like I just couldn't understand it, and it just, like every book I read seemed kind of boring to me and it seemed kind of long to me. And, I was like, all right, this is great. I understand what this is saying, but I don't really understand it. Have you ever had it when you kind of think that you understand something, but you don't really understand it? You're like, yeah, this is good, but it doesn't quite hit you at the realization. You don't make the epiphany. So this is what happened to me throughout the 3 years as I've read the teachings. And I only realized that last night. Because what I've realized was I was following Neville's teachings to a T. And that's what helped me live the life that I'm living today, where I have a 7-figure business, doing what I want, having this peaceful, awesome, amazing life. And I've basically manifested everything that I want. And I don't say that to brag, but I want to share with you what's possible. I want to share with you that manifestation, creating your life, is your birthright. You were meant to live the life that you want to live, okay? But society and everything around you tries to sell you on this, like you got to take massive action, you got to do something, and it tries to sell you on some idea that you can't. But this is your fundamental birthright, okay? So I experienced Neville Goddard's teachings throughout those 3 years, and over the last 3 years, every single video I made, I started to notice that a lot of people who watch Neville Goddard's videos started to watch my videos, and they said there was a resemblance, but I didn't realize it at the time, right? So subconsciously, I was living those principles without even realizing it. So before we go right ahead and get started with the 3 principles, I want to share with you a quote that beautifully summarizes the 3 principles that Neville talks about, right? And the quote is as follows: "Everything we do unaccompanied by a change of consciousness is but a futile readjustment of outer surfaces." I want you to think about this for a second. Please take a minute to ponder on this quote. Everything we do unaccompanied by a change of consciousness is but a futile readjustment of outer surfaces. What I believe Neville is trying to say here is unless and until we change fundamentally in our internal world, it doesn't matter how we try to manipulate our external world. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with who have had thriving businesses. They've done 100 grand a month, 150 grand a month, 200 grand a month. They've made millions only to lose it. Do you see what's happening? When this happens, when this phenomenon happens, I immediately know what's going on. It's because deep down, you don't really feel you're a 7-figure business owner. You don't really believe you're worthy of this. So you begin to self-sabotage. Your actions get influenced by your state of consciousness. Every single action that you take is stemming from a perspective that you have of life, of the world around you. And if this perspective is that of I'm not worthy of having a 7-figure business, you will find ways to sabotage it. This is exactly why people who win the lottery squander their money so quickly. People who are given some handout, or when kids who are born into wealthy families and they receive a lot of wealth, they squander it very quickly. Why? Because they haven't earned that money. They're not in that state of consciousness where they are one with that wealth. Do you see what's happening? So unless and until you become one with that wealth, with that relationship, or whatever it is that you want, that freedom that you want in your life, you will never be able to experience it and keep it, okay? So this is what the 3 principles will show you how to do, how to become one with that state so that it becomes your reality. It becomes your neutral state of operation. So without further delay, let's go right ahead and get into those teachings. Principle number 1 that I realized from Neville is super, super crucial. And he says this beautifully. He basically says something like, feeling of the wish fulfilled. I'm not going to write that out. Feeling of wish fulfilled. FOWF. Okay? And what Neville means by this, and what I believe he means by this is a way of accessing that state where you would be if you had everything. So for example, if I want to have a thriving business, right? If I want to be a 7-figure business owner, I must operate from the feeling of what would it be like? What would life be like if I actually had a 7-figure business? So I want you to think about it this way. If you had everything that you dream about right now, what would you do? How would you live life? How would you approach everything? How would you cook your eggs in the morning? So what place would you come from to do all of these tasks? So see, this is what I mean. This is what that quote means. We're not just simply rearranging the outer surface. We're having a fundamental shift in consciousness. When you have that, then the actions naturally follow. You don't even have to worry about that. So this is what I like to call the identity shift. We are shifting into the energy, that identity of the person who has everything that we want. So the key here is operating from the end state. Operating from end. Please remember that. That is the key thing that you must do at all times. And the example I can give you is I always dreamed of having a 7-figure business, right? I always, at some point I dreamed of having my own business, having this freedom and being able to do what I want. But instead of dreaming and aspiring to an ideal, you must begin to operate from it. I believe Neville calls this the law of assumption as well. You assume that you already are, and from that place, what would you do? How would you approach what you're doing right now? A lot of you may think, in order to become wealthy, I must feel like I'm poor, so I'm always starving for wealth. And that is the biggest load of garbage I've ever heard, okay? You don't need to do something to bring out desire. It's already there. What you want is already there. You just need to undo the blocks to desire. And one example of this I can give you is I always had the desire to make money, but then I told myself stories to keep myself in the comfort zone. I told myself, money is evil, so therefore you don't need to make it. But as soon as I removed those blocks and those beliefs, the desire for money was always there. Desire for freedom was always there, right? So you don't need to do anything to bring up desire. It's already there. Just own your desire. Don't judge your desires, own them, okay? So operating from the end and accessing that place of, if I already had everything that I wanted, who would I be? How would I function, okay? And that misconception of, I must do what is needed right now. Sure, that is true. You must do what is needed right now. But what place are you doing it from? Who is doing that? Okay, so one thing I want you to ask all the time is, this is something that will be actionable for you, right? Ask who, not how. Ask who, not how. What place is this action coming from? If I'm at 20 grand a month and I want to grow my business to 100 grand a month, if I'm making 5 grand a month in my business and I want to make 20 grand a month, who is this 20K a month business owner? How would this 20K a month business owner approach this situation? Do you see what's happening? So that's exactly what I did that helped me get up to that level where I went from 5K a month to 20K a month and now making over 100 grand a month in the business, okay? That is number 1 that Neville talks about, and something that's crucial that you've got to implement in your daily living, and stay with that feeling as long as you can. And what's super key happens in this state, and this is what freaks people out and why people stop staying in this feeling, is they slowly don't feel the need to do as much. You don't feel the need to go out there and do everything and just go crazy with massive action. This actually reduces your actions. But the 1 or 2 actions that you do take become so hyper efficient. They're the ones that lead you to that goal. Okay? This is what I like to call the path of least resistance. And I believe this is the path that everyone should be using to get to their goals. Why lug 100 pounds extra and run a marathon when you can drop that load and just freely move towards your goals? Makes no sense, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, Neville talks about this a lot, is the concept of a mental diet. And after realizing how crucial this was, my life completely changed. So this is what he means by a mental diet. Neville briefly talks about how if we don't have a goal, we're naturally going to be focused on doubts and other things all over the place because the mind isn't focused on a target. So you need to fixate the mind on a target, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is at first, because what happens is if you have a target and you're moving towards a goal, even if the goals that you have were conditioned by society and you don't know, if you really want this, you need a starting point. Okay? So to give you an example of this, when I began in my journey, I thought I wanted the mansion, the Ferrari, and all of the fancy, shiny objects. But as I grew in consciousness and moved towards that, I started to realize that's not what I wanted. I wanted a peaceful life and to live life in my own terms, right? So that's exactly what I'm doing now. I don't have a lot of shiny objects to maintain because I realized if I had a Ferrari, apparently the first oil change on that is like 30, 40 grand. This is like, I'm going to be paying more and stressing out more. It's going to be creating more chaos in my life than peace. So I value peace now. That's something that I personally value. It may not be what you value now. Maybe it'll change, right? So don't judge yourself. Don't be ashamed of what you want. Have a target so you don't have garbage in your mind. Just as we drink water in the physical body, we think thoughts in the mind, okay? How you have a positive mental diet is by focusing on that goal, focusing on the target. So predominantly, you want to focus on things that you want rather than things that you don't want. And the way we do that is by focusing on that goal. Every day thinking about the goal, every day visualizing and feeling the wish fulfilled. When you do that, your mental diet naturally gets taken care of. Because the subconscious mind, your mind is such a brilliant mechanism. It's literally hundreds of thousands of years conditioned supercomputer that you have right here. And if you put a target on it, it will find ways to get you there. You don't even have to worry about how to get there. You will just get there. It's kind of like riding a bike. You don't think about every single muscle that you're twitching and consciously try to manipulate the bicycle. No, you focus on the target. I'm going to move forward. And the way to move forward, just pedal. And you naturally keep balance. Right? At first it's difficult, at first it feels uncomfortable, but over time you begin to feel the smoothness, the rhythm of it. Right? So at first this is going to be difficult, focusing on the goal. It's going to feel unnatural. But as you begin to, stay in that state of the wish fulfilled, all of the doubts and fears just disappear into the background. Okay? So the key here is focus on goal. And last but not least, and I think this is probably the most important one of them all, and Neville talks about this a lot, is faith. Now I want you to understand that reality has its own intricate system of balances. And not everything is going to go 100% your way. So when people get started in this manifestation journey, in this reality creation journey, they get so attached to the results. They get some result and they begin to think life is going to be hunky-dory and everything is going to go their way every day. That is far from the truth. It's not. Because reality has its own way of balancing things out and staying in perfect harmony. This reality that you're experiencing right now, it is a perfect system. It will never be out of balance. If you do something bad, the consequence of karma in bringing a negative outcome to you is nature's way of keeping its balance. Okay? So cultivating faith simply means we will not let this internal world, this state of consciousness that we're assuming, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, we will not let it get shaken by anything. Because how are you to know that anything that you're struggling through right now wasn't meant to happen, wasn't part of the journey, that you weren't supposed to learn a lesson that will allow you to level up and get to that next stage? I know you might be struggling right now in your business, you might be struggling, in your personal life, there might be things going on, but how do you know that that's not what was supposed to happen? Where you are right now in life is exactly what's supposed to happen. This is your journey. So what we do is we look at social media, we look at other people's lives, like, at 30 years old, I'm supposed to be married and have kids, and I'm supposed to be sure about my career. No, everyone's journey is different. Stop looking at other people. Everyone is different. And that's the beauty of it, right? No two human beings are similar. No two people are going through the exact same journey. We start from the soil and we end up in the soil. That's the only similarity. In between, whatever happens is completely different for everyone. So how are you to know that what you're going through right now isn't actually going to lead you to that goal? Just because you're struggling in your business or in your life right now, or in your relationships, in your health, doesn't mean things aren't going to get better. Doesn't mean your goal won't get manifested. You need to have faith. You can't let your internal state get shaken. Okay? So the key to applying this in your life is to have that realization that everything that is happening right now was supposed to happen. This too was meant to happen in order for me to learn the lessons that I need and get to my goal. Meant to happen. It's a perfect system. I can't tell you how many times I've struggled in my journey. Like it wasn't just up all the time, right? I don't really like to talk about my struggles because I don't like to bring you guys down. But I don't share a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. And I know people who you've probably seen have become millionaires, billionaires, or whatever. They've achieved lots of things in their lives and they only share the good parts, right? They only share what went right. But there's a lot of struggles that happen behind the scenes that you don't know about. The perfect Instagram posts you're seeing of these influencers, they look like they have a perfect life, but behind the scenes, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what's happening in their personal lives. There might be a waiter or a person that's rude to you one day, and you get frustrated by that rude person, and you just don't know what they're going through either. They could have just had a death in the family, and maybe that's why they're being rude. So you never know what someone's going through. Just like no one knows what you're going through, but only you know, right? Only I know what it took for me to get here today. Only you know what it took for you to get here today. So, with that, I conclude this video. I hope this was helpful. Let's do a quick recap of everything that we talked about today. Today, I shared with you the real secret to Neville Goddard's teachings, and I believe these are the 3 principles you must know in order to be an effective creator of your reality and live life on your own terms. And I began talking about my own experience and how I thought Neville Goddard's books were a dry read for me at first, and I just couldn't comprehend it. But I realized over time the teachings were subconsciously there, and the seeds were planted and it started sprouting throughout my journey. And one quote that I think accurately sums up Neville's teachings is, everything we do unaccompanied by a change of consciousness is but a futile readjustment of outer surfaces. And the example I gave to you to demonstrate that was a business owner who does really well but then sabotages it all. A lottery winner who gets a lot of money but then loses it all. Why? Because the change in consciousness hasn't happened. It was just a readjustment of outer surfaces, right? And the 3 teachings, the 3 principles that I've shared with you was, number 1, feeling of the wish fulfilled, staying in that end state as much as you can for as long as you can. And from that place, asking, how can I do this? As who would do this? This ideal person, if I were this ideal person who's achieved everything that I wanted, how would I do this, right? Ask who, not how. Number 2, the concept of a mental, I think actually going back to this, it would be better to say, ask who first and then how, okay? Number 2, the concept of a mental diet. And we talked about how there's doubts and fears and negativity that arises, and that's always going to happen. And that happens especially when you lose sight of the goal, of what you want. Forget about what other people are doing. Forget about what you see on social media. What do you want? What is the goal that you've set for yourself? Focus on that. Shift your focus from what is unwanted to what is wanted, and the thoughts will take care of themselves. Stay in that feeling of the wish fulfilled. Don't aspire to an ideal. Operate from that ideal. Okay? And number 3, faith, the most crucial one of them all. Understand that not everything is going to go 100% your way. It never does, and it never will. Just stay strong in your attitude. Whatever you're going through right now, whatever struggle you're going through in your life, please remember that this was meant to happen. This is your own unique, authentic journey. And you're going to learn a lesson from it that will allow you to level up in your life. So remember that everything that's happening was meant to happen. This too is a part of your journey in leveling up to your best self. So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this, if this was helpful for you, if you want me to make more videos, if you have suggestions. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. Before you leave, I wanted to recommend another video that will very well supplement this video. And that video is about letting go and how to cultivate that faith stronger. Okay, so I'm going to put the link in the description for that letting go video. Go ahead and check it out. I know for a fact that it's going to be helpful for you if you thought this was beneficial for you, and put the link in the description. And with that, there's nothing more to say. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.